Every day there's something new, and it's always crazy.
And like people haven't been getting to go to theaters as much. Like we had COVID, we have streamers, and like I love a good stream, but like the movie experience is so special, and it's something that I looked forward to so much as a kid. It's something I look forward to as an adult, and it's rare that something like pulls you into theaters like that. And now if you are going to theaters, it's for a great example. Watching Deadpool and Wolverine in an audience of people, if you're watching that at home, it's just there's the human experience of people watching and feeling together.
Blake Lively turned up the heat in court last week, slipping in a secret declaration while demanding treble and punitive damages. She claimed Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios retaliated against her with a lawsuit, pointing to California's Section 47.1, which allows triple damages for credible SA allegations made without malice. The judge didn't dismiss Baldoni's case under that rule, but Lively wasn't backing down from chasing her payout. In the middle of it all, she dropped a mystery declaration from an unnamed witness, someone who might testify later and wanted their identity hidden. Wayfarer didn't fight the secrecy, but they did reveal the declaration accused Baldoni of verbal abuse during a chat with Steve Sarowitz. The document was sliced up with redactions, leaving almost no context. That's where the real clash started. Lively tried sealing the whole thing, but Wayfarer called foul, pointing out the evidence came from an audio recording that allegedly caught Sarowitz without his consent. They claimed Lively cherry-picked quotes in her filing and demanded the full tape be made public so everyone could hear the real story. This twist puts a spotlight on the kind of evidence Lively is dragging into court. The big question, was that recording even legal?
Hey, I'm a little bit PO'd. Is that the word? Yeah, and I'm about to just probably be not as nice as I usually am when I'm talking about Miss Snake Lively. Why is that? I don't know, because on Wayfarer's biggest day yesterday, their biggest day, where Scarlett Johansson was celebrating her opening night at TIFF for Eleanor the Great, a movie executively produced by Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, as well as they were also doing another premiere of their second movie coming out this month, The Senior. It was a big day for Wayfarer, and Blake Lively chose yesterday to submit the most wildest, craziest letters and motions and whatever the frig this cluster F is into the courts. It's so funny because last week when Snake Lively and her little husband, Ryan Reynolds, were doing the pop NC, and she was all doing her little like glossy Blake Brown, blah, 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 and Ryan Reynolds is over there on TIFF doing his little John Candy red carpet crap that both of them completely failed in. The courts were real quiet, weren't they? They were real quiet.
If it happened in New York, only one person needs to know they're being recorded. But if it was in California, both parties have to sign off. Wayfarer hammered the point that Sarowitz never gave consent and reminded the judge that courts usually lean toward public access under both common law and the First Amendment. They dropped receipts from key cases, like Loan vs. IBM in 2022, which said that filings tied to major motions, like motions to dismiss, are judicial documents that the public gets to see. They also cited United States versus Armadillo, which allowed redactions to protect witnesses, but only if those edits were laser-focused and not sweeping blackouts. Put simply, Wayfarer insists the audio can't just be buried because Lively feels uncomfortable. Their argument, the public deserves to hear what went down on that tape, since it could sway the judge's decision. And when sealing happens, it's supposed to be for extreme reasons. Safety threats, trade secrets, or deep privacy issues. Embarrassment, messy press, or a bruised reputation doesn't cut it. They say Lively's move is way too broad, asking to lock up the whole declaration and the audio, even though most of it doesn't risk exposing the witness's identity. Wayfarer even called out her redactions as overkill. She wanted to block the witness's name, fine, but also seal a random footnote about how the tape was created. The gag is, Lively already admitted the Exhibit 1 was an audio file by pointing to timestamps. With that already public, Wayfarer says only the witness's name and the project's title should stay private. Everything else should be wide open for the world to see.
This footage, which appears in the finished version film It Ends With Us, only in this brief slow-motion montage, appears to show the two stars discussing how to play the scene as they slow dance. Baldoni's team says the 3 takes of this scene, reportedly shot in May 2023, show that what took place on set doesn't match claims of sexual harassment that Lively made in a legal complaint last month.
The witness may have worked on a project, but nothing in the papers actually gives away their identity. Still, Lively is pushing to seal every shred of context.
Blake Lively's team has now responded to her dragging content creators into her legal case. A spokesperson for Blake stated, "Subpoenas are evidence-gathering tool, not an accusation of wrongdoing." Do you guys hear that? The pro-Blake people out there trying to say that, aha, gotcha. Not an accusation of wrongdoing. Just throwing that out there. They go on to state, there is no silencing of content creators. They are obviously making their views known.
When the meeting with Sarowitz happened, why it happened, and what supposedly followed. On page 5 of her brief, she begged the court to keep a footnote hidden and to block specific witness names. Wayfarer clapped back, "They'll redact the name, no problem, but footnote 9, no way." Lively already admitted she produced the file and even exposed it as an audio recording by pointing to timestamps, something only audio has. Wayfarer says this makes her look shady, like she's trying to protect her story instead of the witness.
Miss. Hi, Blake, right here, Blake. Oh, do it out.
No problem. 1 second.
They argue that timing, context, and details don't out the witness at all. They just show whether her verbal abuse narrative really holds water. To them, Lively isn't narrowing her sealing request. She's trying to bury anything that might crack her case. And because Sarowitz never agreed to be recorded, Wayfarer insists the entire context should be public. They flipped her privacy claim on its head, saying this isn't about shielding a vulnerable witness. It's about Lively weaponizing secrecy. At the end, they hit hard. Her only excuse for sealing Exhibit 1 is that it could spark negative press. But courts have ruled over and over. Bad headlines and bruised reputations aren't enough to hide judicial records. Wayfarer even pulled cases to back it. Bronx Conservatory of Music versus AKA in 2021 and Julian versus MetLife Insurance, both rejecting sealing based on embarrassment. Judges in New York have been clear. If all Lively has is fear of ugly publicity, she's got nothing. And since Sarowitz himself is the one on tape, Wayfarer argues it's his call if it goes public, not Lively's cherry-picked quotes. Wayfarer flipped the script on Lively's sealing push. She claims it's about protecting a witness, but they point out the only real privacy stake belongs to Steve Sarowitz, the guy who was secretly recorded. And here's the kicker. Sarowitz actually wants the tape released. That means Lively has no standing to hide behind his privacy rights. Wayfarer says they've already agreed to redact anything that could expose the witness, the project, the name, the details, but the rest should stay public. Why? Because context matters. Otherwise, Lively gets to spin a half story while locking away the full truth. They accuse her of cherry-picking before, and now trying to bury the whole recording so she won't get caught. They even argue that Lively fueled the media frenzy herself by filing the declaration, then admitted it stirred headlines. To Wayfarer, she's scared the full audio could blow up the narrative she's been selling to the press. In their words, this isn't about safety. It's about her manipulating evidence and controlling the story. And they back it up with precedent. New York courts and the Second Circuit have made it clear. Embarrassment, bad press, or reputational damage don't justify sealing court records. Still, whispers of corruption hang over the judge, with some saying he bends toward Lively's side. He's denied it, but suspicion lingers, though he did recently reverse one of his own rulings, leaving the outcome here unpredictable. Not long ago, the judge ruled that Katie Case and Brianna Koslow had to hand over certain documents he said weren't privileged. But then Case's lawyer, Max Bradwell, teamed with Wayfarer to argue that Jed Wallace, one of Friedman's clients, was included in those talks with Friedman, Case, and Koslow. That changed everything. The judge reversed himself, letting Wallace and Wayfarer file new privilege logs and mark what needed redacting before anything went to Lively. Lively's camp blasted the move as absurd, saying the defense had all the time in the world to raise it earlier. Still, the judge allowed it, which means in this current fight, he could make the same call. Keep the witness's name secret, but push the full recording out. especially since Sarowitz himself wants it public. Critics say this shows just how far Lively may go to shape evidence and spin headlines. If the tape proves the so-called verbal abuse wasn't abuse at all, or if the timing looks staged after she went public, it could wreck her story. And the lingering questions sting: why was that convo recorded, and why did it land in Lively's hands? Wayfarer's stance stays firm. No one's accusing the witness of breaking laws, but if Sarowitz was taped without his okay, then the only fair move is to release it in full so the court and the public get the whole truth. What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Was Lively protecting herself or hiding the truth? Do you believe the judge will side with Wayfarer, or will he keep everything sealed? And if that full audio comes out, how much could it change the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. We truly appreciate your time. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe so you never miss the next twist in Hollywood drama. And if you're craving more breaking stories, go check out the other videos waiting for you right here on Star Watch.